Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Anyone else watch Family Matters growing up? Steve Urkel. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Ern, buyer, seller, trader, collector, integrator. This is my channel. I talk about all things of the hobby. Today's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to all of you. And first things first, if you were wondering why I'm wearing these glasses, I bought a pair of Meta Ray-Bans so I can record suspicious things that happen to me while I drive. Oddly enough, I switched careers, and so I don't commute as much anymore. So I don't know what I want to be recording outside of the random things that I see when I go on my excursions. All right, welcome back, channel. So let me prompt this video and ask you a question. Would you rather have this or these? Scarlet and Violet, beautiful booster boxes, modern, ultra modern, basically every set outside of Destined. Would you rather have these, or would you rather have these? ETBs, Team Up, Sun and Moon stuff, Unified Minds, Shining Legends, what else is there? Cosmic, XY Evolutions, beautiful boxes, Pokemon Center ETBs, and that kind of stuff. Which one would you rather have? I'm in a dilemma. I'm actually not in a dilemma. I'm not going to keep any of it. It's all being sold. It's all going to be gone. And, I thought long and hard about this as a collector, as a wannabe investor, as someone who just wants to get to 2030. What do I really cherish and value that I have? And, let me walk through some of my thinking as we go into this supposed downturn, as all this doom and gloom is happening, and as people start to poo-poo on the market. I will just start off by saying this is not really new to me. It is, been in since COVID. So when people hype things up, when things go down, things go all around. It's all kind of the same thing over and over again. It's different timeline, same event, same feelings, just a different point in time. And the one common denominator in all of this, the number one regret that I always, always, always have, or maybe it's not really a regret, the thing I wish I would have optimized for better, I wish I was more liquid. And not fluid, not like water, obviously. I wish I had more money in the bank to do things with. And that may seem weird to say because I'm always constantly buying and selling, and constantly like making money and churning things over. But you have to keep in mind the best opportunities are not always here all the time. The best opportunities come and go, and really are based on different points in the market, different points in this entire kind of life cycle. And when you're new, you think that things can always go up. And you hear a lot more of this these days from people who have are buying in, and they're incentivized to make sure that nothing goes wrong with what they've purchased. Everything goes up. Or if it goes down, it only goes down like a little bit, and you're never really taking a big risk or never big hit. But what I've learned time and time again, as I've held things throughout different kind of bulls and bears and whatever you want to call them, is it is totally okay, one, to take your profit, take the margin that you set out to take, and be okay with whatever that gain is. Holding forever and trying to make sure that you get the most money at at every point in time, and making sure that you always get the most out of the money that you spend is like very hard to do. It's a losing battle. But that the big B, a big but, it's a lot easier to feel good about the money that you spend when you have the ability to spend more of it during certain points in time. And what I'm specifically referring to is we've been going on such a tear in the market lately across all modern, all different sets and all different eras, and like naturally, who knows how much longer it's going to hold up, right? We're seeing some resistance. We're seeing some, I don't know. I shouldn't even say resistance. It's just made up things I'm saying. We're seeing some prices not be as high as they were before, right? And it's important to say like market price and sell through are not the same thing, right? And with a lot of these changes in price, you get sentiment that's changing back and forth, back and forth. And I want to feel good about the next era, the next phase, the next cycle, and when we enter it, because I want to have enough money to play around with. And I look at the things that I have in my collection, right? Those ETBs I've literally had since 2020, 2021. I actually used to have multiples of like Cosmic and Unified Mind, Celestial Storm, um, bunch of random sets. I've only had one team up ETB, but I purchased them back in the day. Team up I bought for like 250, I think. It's at least there was a sale for like 1900 recently, but it's like a $2,000 plus ETB. It actually went up to like 2,800 a few weeks ago, but that's retraced a lot as there's less money being thrown around. And so, I look at the things in my collection, things that I've held on to for a long time. Some of that stuff, that team up ETB has literally 10x'd. 10x. That's crazy, right? And let me tell you something about ETBs. ETBs are, I think they are the superior thing to display, right? They look amazing. The artwork is great across like all eras. Booster boxes, I would say for me, they've kind of fallen out of favor in terms of displaying. Like they don't look as good. That's just my preference. This is my opinion. I'm not saying they're better or worse. I'm just saying just like optically. ETBs are massive though. Like they are I think they're 1.5 times or 1.3 times the size of a booster box. And so they're not small. I have these things on my desk now to display so I can appreciate them, but they take up a lot of space, right? And with that, the bigger the product, right? The shrink wrap on them, there's something that people don't understand. Shrink wrap on a lot of these products over time, the more that they are moved around, touched, the more that that's a big hill. Let me show you this hill. I've done this walk multiple times, but driving down up and down it has been quite the adventure. Okay. The shrink wrap on electronic trainer boxes on ETBs is, how do I say this? Actually, let me see if I can let me grab a photo or a video and I'll stitch it here. Okay. The shrink wrap over time, because it's like held tight around it. If you move the ETB, right? If you move it, if you're like touching it, if you're like taking it out of the acrylic and like fondling it, what happens is that it starts to stretch and it starts to tear. And that tearing, really, you see a lot more in like older products, older booster boxes, older ETBs. It's not like a tear like this, right? It's more like a stretch. And the stretching creates this resistance and eventually starts to like open up starts to rip open a little bit. It's a different type of tear. If you have something that's older, you know what I mean. And the Team Up ETB, when I first got it, it was in pretty good condition. The shrink wrap was fully clear, fully complete, and the corners of the box, I think, had like some, you could see that it was like they were placed on something. Like they're not super crisp, but really the shrink wrap was great. I've taken that ETB out of its acrylic in there. I used to have it in a Target tin or Target container. Maybe, no exaggeration, 5 times total, because I knew how valuable it was. Minimal touching, right? I have moved. It has been in different kind of storage units and that kind of thing. Let me show you this neighborhood I'm driving through right now in San Francisco. This is Russian Hill, Presidio. This is one of the richest neighborhoods in San Francisco. One of the many. I'm on the outskirts of it, actually. That shrink wrap has started to give. Oh, sorry, sir. That shrink wrap has started to give and it started to tear a little bit. And I don't know where that came from. I didn't do it. I'm not, fondling my ETB. One day I just saw it through the acrylic and I noticed like, oh, this thing is actually starting to give. And so I explained this. We're talking about ETBs and like my collection because this is the stuff you have to keep in mind if you want to collect things for a long time. If you want to be a hoarder, collector, investor, whatever it is, and you think you're going to hold on to these things for multiple years. Now I'm going on 5 years with this ETB. Her and I have been through a lot. We've moved from the Bay Area to LA to the Bay Area twice. Like we've been through a lot. And she's moved with me multiple times. Look at this house. You guys see this house? That is a ballin' house. One day I wish I had one like that. The point I'm trying to illustrate is you can't hold on to these things forever safely. It's hard. It's difficult. And if you are a collector today, or you're a collector, investor, whatever you are today, right? You have this massive collection of all this cool stuff, and you think you're going to be a long-term collector. I will tell you, I never thought I would sell my team up ETB up until this year. Part of it's because it didn't appreciate to the point where I would consider it, right? It had been below 2,500, 3,000 for a while. But part of it's also like, now my ETB is kind of a liability. It is no longer mint. It is no longer clean. It is no longer a perfectly sealed ETB. Now, it'll still get like 80 to 90% of its value, probably, right? But it's no longer like this collection piece that I look at and I'm like, it is so great that I have this and it's going to be worth so much these days. Now I just look at it as, oh crap, I hope I can get as much as I want to for this piece. So, ETB. It's, I would recommend people, if you do want to collect, ETBs are a great way to go as display pieces. But the point of all this for me to talk about is, you think you can hold on to things forever. You think you have the wherewithal. You think you have the patience. You think you have the mindset. And, there's nothing wrong with holding on to things for like 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years, if you really appreciate them, right? If you really like them. I will say with my team up ETB, I've fallen in and out of love with her or him, the thing, for a while. Because I just couldn't figure out how to best display it and how to best appreciate it. As I've moved, as I've gone from storage unit to storage unit, as I haven't had really display space. So, this is my kind of call to action. Warning call. Warning call? This is my kind of thing I want to just share with people. You probably won't hang on to the things that you have for as long as you think you will. And part of it is lifestyle changes. Part of it is goals change. Part of it is the market changes and it makes you feel different about the things that you have. Part of it is you just want to get something else. And I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you have particular things that you want to downgrade from or upgrade from, it's okay to let things go. And, I think when you invest, right, a lot of investors have this like dual investor and collector mindset hat on. And I think the challenge that you're going to face over time is what happens when you no longer want to collect this thing and you purely look at it as an investment. If that's the case, then you have to decide, at what point do you decide, you know what, holding on to this thing as an investor, it's not really worth it. Taking up too much space. The market downturn is happening. People are not buying as many Pokemon Center ETBs as they were before. A lot of these variables come into play. And let me transition to talking about all of the other things that I've sold or am selling. I am selling right now all of my Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. The reason being is because I do not care for them anymore. I've already sold off some Obsidian Flames, Fusion Strike, but Sword and Shield ETBs don't really count because they're not special. Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, Temporal Forces, a bunch of the Scarlet and Violet ones. And you're probably asking me like, wow, why? Why would you do that? They're great investments. They might be. They probably are to an extent. But my eyes right now, I'm looking at 2027, 2028. The year after next year, the years after next year. And the reason I'm looking that far ahead is, again, I'm not very liquid. I don't carry a lot of, I'm always constantly spending money. As soon as money comes in, it goes out. And one of the challenges I have myself, or I guess goals I have for myself going to next year is I want to have, let's just throw out a number. I want to have 50K in the checking account at all times to be able to buy things. And like $50,000 to some people sounds like a lot. It is a lot. To some other people, it's not a lot. For me, I can honestly tell you, I don't operate my business in a way where I constantly have that much money in the checking account ready to deploy. I am someone who is totally fine spending the money I get in as it comes out because I'm constantly looking at opportunities, and those opportunities go from several $100s to several $1,000s, right? So I'm in this position where I'm like constantly spending, constantly constrained. And, it has, I wouldn't say it's hurt me because I've kind of done a lot with what I have. And, I'm able to fill whatever dollar amount with whatever opportunities I can find. But I wish I could operate at a level where if someone had a decent sized collection, that I could pursue it and seriously look at and vet if it's a good idea for me. I'm not in that position today, right? I can do it with smaller things from a few hundred to a few thousand at a time, maybe up to like 5 or 10K at certain times. But any more than that, like it's a trade-off for me to, I got to sell a bunch of booster boxes. I got to sell a bunch of slots. I have to sell things to make room as opportunities come. And like, it is honestly a little bit stressful at times to operate like that. I'd rather just be in a cush position where my hands are clean. I'm free of a bunch of random stuff in my collection, in my inventory, and I'm just sitting on cash ready to spend it if there are things that I actually want to pursue. So I'm downsizing everything as much as I can. I also don't believe, as I've mentioned before, I don't believe the current kind of zeitgeist of the market is going to hold up. And what that means is going into next year, who knows, 6 months from now, a year from, I don't know how long it's going to take. I expect that we're going to see a softening. We're going to see a pullback on a lot of the older, rarer, more niche stuff. And truthfully, when I think about all my ultra modern, all the things that I've bought over the last year or two, right? I spent a whole lot of money on a bunch of different pieces, a bunch of smaller pieces, a bunch of quarters, right? And I want to be acquiring dollars. I want to be acquiring more unique, lower pop, rarer things and not have to worry so much, not even care at all about ultra modern. And so that's the trade-off. It's like ignoring what comes out month over month, every single set, English and Japanese. And don't get me wrong, there's so much to be excited about with Scarlet and Violet sets, the new sets coming out. Like everything is just so tempting, right? And ooh, this guy. We have an issue. These guys are in this right lane. And this bus, let's get through. The bus is not happy. It's the bus lane. I as every set comes out, I'm able to spend however much, buy a few cases, few boxes, rip some, hold some. But as we continue to go on in this market, it feels less. I feel less and less confident, even though I just bought Phantasmal $279 a box, and I got a case. I feel less confident that that is something I want to continue to do. I'm not saying I feel less confident that the market's going to crash and die and all that stuff. I'm just saying, for me, deploying that money, I don't feel as good about it, and so I'd rather be doing other things with that money moving forward. So yeah, all of Scarlet and Violet, and I'll tell you what I'm keeping. I'm keeping all my Destined Rivals. I'm keeping some Paldea. Everything else, and even though Surging is at a great price to buy right now, I will figure out a way to sell it and figure out a way to get rid of it. So I share this with you, so hopefully you can relate. It's not a bad time to sell. It's not a bad time to accumulate. It's not a bad time to Kirby mode some cash, because things cannot hold up forever. And you want to be there. You want to be there when there is a real, true retrace in the things that have high potential to do well. I think there's a retrace right now on a lot of things that could do well, but don't have the highest potential. I'm talking about ultra modern. But for everything else, I think that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck and how you're going to grow the collection the best. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.